The man just walked into the bathroom. I heard a loud noise over my head. It was followed by a violent explosion. When I look up, I saw the ceiling was broken, leaving a big hole.
Suddenly, a series of fighter jets roared by. Ignoring my wife's questions,
John rushed outside to see what was going on.
but I was dumbfounded by the sight in front of me, a passenger plane. I went to the opposite building.
Originally, John thought it was just a normal accident, but your neighbor looked really panicked. John had just finished.
Karen heard a scream from outside. They immediately rushed to the window and witnessed a horrifying scene. The neighbor is being held to the ground and was madly bitten by the other people. At that time, the news was also on the air.
Notice that
A terrifying virus has spread throughout the city, turning people into bloodthirsty zombies.
the host warned everyone to.
Stay indoors and wait for rescue.
John and Karen immediately check all the food in the house and write it down in a notebook. But they realize that there's only enough food for a few days. There's no other way.
They decided to risk going out.
To look for more supplies from neighbor's home. If the front door on the first floor is closed, maybe the hallway will be safe. Fortunately, there are no zombies outside, and the neighbor's door is already open.
They quickly returned with their hands full of food.
This amount of food, it will help them survive for a long time.
Now, all they have to do is lock the door and stay inside, waiting for the rescue team to arrive.
But in case the zombies break in,
They also need to prepare some self-defense weapons. But hours passed, and still no rescue team showed up. Karen started to worry if no air came to save them.
do they end up like their neighbors? Tortured by zombies? John reassured his wife and told her not to be afraid.
That everything will be fine,
At least they're alive.
and compared to others, they're still the lucky ones. Listen to your husband's wife. Help Karen find out.
To kill time, they started exercising together. Sometimes they jogging in the living room.
Or sometimes they do simple exercises. But that night, after I finished my homework, suddenly they heard footsteps outside the door.
I think it's the rescue team.
They innocently opened the door without hesitation, but did not expect
It's a zombie trying to break in. They were both horrified and terrified. Fortunately,
they react quickly and don't let it in.
going through these first encounters with the terrifying zombie,
Both of you are anxious to make a few cigarettes to get your spirit back when they bravely open the door.
and saw the zombie was gone.
John quickly put the broken pottery in front of the door to create zombie drum traps,
That way they could safely exercise.
but only a few days later.
Their lives were interrupted by a knock at the door. After the previous crisis, this time they became more cautious.
They both hide their weapons behind their backs and carefully open the door.
Outside are two survivors.
After a brief greeting, they urgently asked for shelter.
Karen was going to refuse,
But John, with a kind heart, immediately agreed.
even though SEO is difficult in the end times era.
The saints howled, but they didn't expect that.
This decision, it almost cost them their lives.
Through the conversation, they know that the other two are also a couple. But as soon as I sat down, Neil asked John if he had food. They were both hungry for days. They got them into the house.
John had no other choice.
Instead of giving them food, while John goes to get his food,
Karen couldn't help but complain to her husband.
their food is already limited. Now there are two more.
It can last a long time. You both know nothing about this couple. If they are the bad guys, why? So after the discussion, John and Karen decided that, after the two finished eating, the couple would ask them to leave.
But until then, Karen hesitated and couldn't bring herself to say I.
Lou and his wife are not fools,
They recognized John and Karen's dilemma.
so they offered to help with everything in the house. If you can stay.
With such an offer,
John and Karen couldn't say more, and reluctantly agreed. But the next morning, something happened that Karen deeply regretted.
about my decision,
You need to use the toilet urgently.
but Emily's been in there a long time.
Emily's behavior was outrageous,
She was deliberately slow.
not in a hurry, and just leisurely stepped out after flushing.
Emily's actions made Karen very angry.
So right at breakfast, Karen no longer respects Lou and Emily's feelings.
You just let them do the housework.
Lou and Emily have no choice. In addition to following,
But they just cleaned up in the kitchen.
Karen was given the task of sorting clothes
Karen intended to use this.
to get Lou and Emily to leave automatically.
I can't believe instead of giving up, Lil and Emily concoct a sinister plan.
In the bedroom,
They decide to kill Karen and John to take over the house.
After the discussion,
They planned to act that night. When Lil and Emily found the living room, they found Karen and John sleeping on the sofa. I realized this was the perfect opportunity,
Lil and Emily decided to act immediately.
but Karen woke up and heard them whispering. Emily awkwardly picked up a book.
Excuse,
That she just wanted to go into the kitchen and cook some special food, but Karen saw through it all. She told Lil and Emily to sit down and rest. Then call your husband into the kitchen.
Karen told me what she heard. John found it hard to believe and suggested we keep an eye on the situation, but Karen doesn't want to sit around waiting to be attacked.
You want to get out there first, V1.
Lil and Emily are still sitting in the living room, and I felt something unusual. They start clenching their wrists. Get ready for a big battle. Right now.
Karen walked after the desserts. It's just made Emily a little defensive. There is something wrong with the cake. But Lil just picked up a piece and put it straight in your mouth. I just want to praise my husband for eating well.
Emily couldn't resist being hungry and started eating.
But they didn't know it. Karen actually put something in the cake. Not long after,
Lil and Emily started to get upset. After a while of struggling, they collapsed and passed out. This scene was completely out of Karen's imagination. She thought Lil and Emily had just passed out. But they're actually dead. Karen and John had no intention of murder
I can't believe I accidentally became a killer.
because the situation can't be saved, so their immediate task is to dispose of the two bodies. John returned to the living room.
I was shocked to see Lil alive, but he looks thirsty. Karen immediately picked up gun 6 and pulled the trigger.
It's even weirder than the next second.
Emily slowly stood up. And as a result, I saw 2 bodies on the floor.
John immediately realized that,
They've been infected with the virus before. It will change after death.
without hesitation, they quickly dragged the two bodies out for disposal. Clearly the situation is getting worse.
They thought a lot. There may not be a rescue here.
John and Karen are very depressed now. Instead of living in fear, they decided to enjoy the rest of the day in a complete way. That is,
The couple began to enjoy their time together.
in the post-apocalyptic world, they live each day as if it were the last.
So even if they turn into zombies, they won't regret it. But that night,
When you're both drinking and prepare to have a few minutes of intimacy,
suddenly there's a knock on the door.
I heard people outside calling themselves a rescue team. Karen happily opened the door without thinking much.
But rather horrifying.
It's a group of thugs.
And John and Karen were quickly subdued.
It turns out that the light in the house has revealed their location.
They threatened John with a knife. He had to hand over all his possessions and food.
If not,
They'll make some lines on Karen's face. There was no other way, so John agreed.
but the leader, Martin, had other intentions.
He dragged Karen into the bedroom with a dark heart. I know I can't fight him by force. Karen pretended to listen so Martin wouldn't be alarmed.
At that time, a guy called Martin
Take this opportunity. Karen was quick, hid some flour on the bedside table.
and threw it in his face.
Then she opened the drawer.
He pulled out a small knife and killed Martin. Hear the noise. The other two thugs rushed in. I saw Martin lying in a pool of blood.
They rushed back to check. Give John a chance to act. He immediately picked up gun 6 and pulled the trigger.
Without hesitation, the last thug immediately surrendered, but also not out of number. Same fate as the previous two. When the crisis is over, John and Karen quickly disposed of the body. Just returned to the break room.
They suddenly heard a whistle outside. That's the rescue team looking for survivors. I see the boat has come.
The couple rushed to the window and shouted.
No matter how loud they scream,
The rescue helicopter in the sky.
still can't hear.
Realize this is your only chance to be saved. John and Karen decide to risk their lives and run out. Call for help.
But rather horrified. When opening the door,
They found the entrance was filled with zombies. Without any hesitation, John grabbed a hammer and frantically attacked the zombies.
trying to open the way to escape. Zombies are very powerful.
They were hit a lot, but they didn't hurt. There's no other way.
They had to close the door again.
John returned to the window. The rescue helicopter is gone.
Their hope of salvation was completely lost.
As food resources are running out,
The next morning, the couple were forced to venture out, looking for more food.
you know it's full of zombies. This time they prepared very carefully.
Be fully armed before leaving.
When the door is closed, hallway immediately echoed the sound of an intense battle. Soon after, both panicked,
There are too many zombies outside.
so they couldn't break through. It's getting worse.
when Karen was bitten in the palm by a zombie. They both know what a bite means.
John tries to comfort his wife.
They say that being bitten doesn't turn into a zombie, because Leo and Emily only mutate after death.
You said, maybe some pharmaceutical company made ours. They just have to wait patiently for the rescue team to arrive. But they both know they're lying to themselves. The next morning, Karen woke up.
She felt that there was something abnormal in her body, an unbearable hunger and thirst. Afraid I'll hurt my husband.
Karen decided to quietly leave without saying goodbye.
But John was smart. I quickly found out. I can't let my wife go.
It's even risky
Cut into the palm of the hand.
to use my blood to stop Karen's hunger. At first, Karen refused.
But your bloodthirsty instincts won't let you.
How to resist? This method is effective.
Temporarily quench Karen's hunger. But it's clearly not a long-term solution.
Karen knows her fate is inevitable.
You will become a zombie. And you can't stand the sight.
Look at my husband.
Keep hurting yourself, will you? But John still clings to a fragile ray of hope.
He was determined not to give up until the rescue team arrives. They keep waiting.
Waiting and dreaming of a beautiful future.
John looked at Karen with loving eyes and said that it won't be long. The rescue team will knock on their door.
Karen will be vaccinated.
They will have a new life full of happiness. They will have children, buy a bigger house in the countryside, and grow old together.
When you say those words,
Silent tears welled up in John's eyes. Dreams are always beautiful, but reality is too cruel for them. Karen finally left John. She just left a goodbye letter in the bathroom. John immediately understood what had happened, and Shiver opened the room door.
when the curtain is lifted,
I see Karen's changed.
before completely losing the sense,
Karen tied herself up so she wouldn't hurt her husband. On her chest was a small piece of paper with the words,
if you love me, give me the softest departure to see the sea.
John was in great pain.
But I know I've got to make a decision. I finally stumbled back to the bedroom.
Take the 6 and come back. After a moment of hesitation,
Slowly raise your gun.
aim for the wife you love the most. Not sure how long after, the apartment door finally opened.
That's the rescue team. It was too late to get inside.
They're dumbfounded in front of the scene. John couldn't pull the trigger. I chose to turn Karen into a zombie.
Instead of living alone,
The rescue team stood still.
and I'm deeply moved by the sight. Finally,
Several shots rang out in the quiet apartment.
take John and Karen out of this world forever.